So the Energy Nerd Show is like a walk in the park, except instead of birds, we have nerds. And instead of being outside, you're probably sitting in the house.
Welcome to another Energy Nerd Show and Tell. We're standing here with Michelle Apigian, who's going to tell us about this awesome building behind us.
So this is called Finch Cambridge, and it will be 98 units of affordable housing in the largest Passive House certified building in the state of Massachusetts. The Passive House building standard is the most energy efficient building performance standard in the world. It focuses intentionally on a carbon footprint of a building, looking at how to radically reduce the load of the building so that it has as low operational energy as possible. And the way it does that is by basically creating a thermos so that the thermal envelope is also fully airtight and does the vast majority of the work that our heating and cooling systems are used to doing in our mechanically inclined buildings these days. So if we put our energy and our intensity into the building envelope with continuous airtightness and thermal continuity and attention to all the transitions and all those openings to maintain all that continuity, then we can have a much, much smaller heating and cooling system because we're basically holding temperature no matter what's going on outside the building. And when that happens and we basically have no fresh air accidentally coming in, then we have to add ventilation on purpose, otherwise we would not be able to breathe. So the buildings that you and I are living in, many of us, if you sit next to the exterior wall, you feel that draft. It's very leaky, right? It's uncomfortable. That's infiltration, that's accidental. And a Passive House building is essentially going to eliminate that as much as possible. And so we have to bring in intentional, continuous, balanced ventilation, which means that every unit has fresh air coming into their living room and their bedrooms and is constantly exhausting stale air from the bathrooms and the kitchens.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you said it's very insulated. What are some of the other features of this particular Passive House building?
So the airtightness is really one of the key layers, and that's the blue layer on the building. That is, and you see that tape that goes around the windows. That airtightness is actually sort of the unsung hero. So the insulation is something that we're used to thinking about, but we're not as accustomed to understanding what it means to stop infiltration into the building. So that's really the first step. Then we add that insulation, and we're also using a thermally broken rain screen. So every wall has a structure. Our structure is not wildly different, and every wall is required to have an air barrier by code, but the continuity is the part that is really, really important. A Passive House building is going to get below door tested. It has to basically, to be certified as a Passive House building, it's not a big checklist like a LEED checklist where you're kind of deciding what you are and aren't going to do, and there's buckets of categories. This is not a holistic design standard. This is about energy, and as a kind of natural byproduct, you end up getting an enormous indoor environmental quality kind of element to it.
So how much air infiltration is acceptable in this Passive House?
So 0.6 air changes per hour is really what is required in a Passive House building. You have to be less than that. 3 is what the code requires, so it's 5 times better. And in our case, because that's one piece of the equation that all together puts together the picture of what operational energy is going to be. So our target is actually lower than that because we have other deltas in our heat and our overall energy profile that are penalizing us a little bit. So we've got to do a little better job on the air tightness here.
How do the economics of this pencil out compared to a standard building?
So we're tracking that because in fall of last year, Mass Clean Energy Center issued the Passive House Design Challenge, which was funding strategically targeting affordable housing projects that decided to go passive house. They were able to fund 8 projects. This got a piece of that, and we've got another project that got the whole piece of that. But with that comes a requirement to track the kind of upcharges that are the upcharges associated with passive house. And some of that is apples to apples. I was going to use a double paned, double hung window. Now I'm using a tilt and turn triple glazed window. Some of that is straight apples to apples, but some of it is more complicated because their heating and cooling system choices and the ventilation choices might be different. And so there's layers to unpack there.
And you save here on the size of the HVAC equipment.
For sure, and on obviously operationally for the life of the building. One of the things I love about this project is that it is affordable housing, and nonprofits who are working to do community development work, the whole goal is to provide healthy, affordable, safe housing where their residents can thrive and where they are hopefully able to save some money so that they can go on and get the education they need and get to work and do all those other things, right? And so when you kind of bake it all in with the passive house, it's sort of a win-win-win because you're getting all of that. Of course, you're getting the operational savings, but you're also getting that health, that comfort, durability, and ultimately resiliency, because you could have a power outage in the winter in this building and people would be able to stay here comfortably and not be in a dangerous position without heat for days at a time, which is
So
yeah.
It's really exciting and really cool. Is there anything in addition that is different about this than other passive houses you've designed, or is there anything about this project that is most exciting to you?
This building is complicated because we lifted it off the ground, and so it's a total wind tunnel right there in the garage. And we've insulated above the...
Is that for parking?
That's for parking, exactly.
Oh, Cambridge.
Tuck that parking. And actually, they welcomed a really low parking ratio, and we have a ample bike parking. But that, and also we wanted to get the residential portion of the building out of the 2070 floodplain, which is something that Cambridge is very focused on. So the whole building is out of the floodplain, but all the residences are even higher. So it was a kind of a win-win-win, but it's cold in the garage and the residences need to stay warm, and so we had a very different insulation strategy than is traditional where you'd insulate from below. We're actually insulating from above the deck. So that's very different. The other thing I love about this building that is nothing to do with passive house is that because it's affordable housing and the community spaces and the kind of social programming is so important, they decided on the top floor where we needed to step the building back for zoning reasons that they wanted to, we would have the community spaces and the laundry spaces on the top floor with the best views overlooking Fresh Pond.
Gorgeous.
Isn't that amazing? So they'll be up there doing laundry, studying in their homework nooks, doing their thing. There's a roof deck. There's a roof deck that they'll be, able to use in the summertime, and they'll have sort of programming around gardening programs, and there's a kitchen and they can cook, and it's gonna be amazing.
We'll have to visit.
Exactly.
Then.
Yeah, maybe we'll come to a meal.
Yes,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. This is Energy Nerd Show and Tell.
It's the show that we want to watch, so we're thinking maybe some of you energy nerds want to watch it too. If you do, then tell your friends and subscribe right around here. Click there,
And check
or there, or over here.
Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and where
Yeah,
else.
and the Energy Nerd website at energynerdshow.com. You can always go there. And if you want to be a guest, you can volunteer to be a guest. We love to have guests. In fact, that's kind of what the show is all about.
Absolutely.